What's up, guys? Episode 19 of the Vision Board Podcast. I'm Tristan Cannell. Johnny Stuff goes with me there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Stavko. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer over there.
He was kind of one of my guys when I was younger. Michael was. He had the voice of butter.
Yeah, well, he did all the fights.
The
Rockies.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. That one.
He looked really different, buddy, Rocky.
I mean, he's like 103 years old.
He's pretty old.
Yeah, we're getting old.
He's
pretty.
Still very good looking.
He's
dude.
pretty.
Shout out to Michael Buffer.
Holla.
Thanks for listening, man.
Yeah, man.
So we've got an exciting episode today, guys. One of the biggest names in the fitness industry. He's also an author, New York Times bestseller. We've got John Romaniello. So stay tuned for him. Before that, big shout out to our sponsors, Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop and The Organic Trainer.
Organic Trainer, check them out at www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise, tea, and recovery needs. You can find a flask on that website. There's a blog on that website. When you proceed into the checkout, use keyword The Vision Board to receive 10% off of all of your purchases. If you're living in the Sydney, Australia area, check out Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop, King's Cross, Potts Point. Be sure to set an appointment up. Dre's chairs are always full. He's doing the best work. He's going to leave you with a little chip on the shoulder. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going straight into live into Los Angeles, California.
L-A-L-A-L-A.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stavko and Tristan Cannell.
Okay, our special guest today is John Romaniello, New York Times best-selling author, owner of the highly regarded Roman fitness systems. His work's also been seen in reputable sites such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, Men's and Women's Health, T-Nation, Shape, and Huffington Post. We welcome John Romaniello. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Jen, so much for having me and for that lovely introduction.
You're more than welcome, man. You've been someone I've followed for quite a long time, and I've introduced you lately to Johnny as well. So obviously, engineering the Alpha was awesome.
Yeah.
And your actual website I've been seeing even before I was even in the industry. So it's great to have you on. Sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, John, man, what I'm really impressed with the whole thing is I read your credentials, Tristan hands me the book, and I'm thinking, Romaniello has to be in his 50s. And then when I do my research and find out you're my age, man, it's admirable, it's inspirational, and it's awesome to have you on the show, man.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That's the strangest compliment I've ever been given.
Yeah, we're all around the same age, and I spent some time in about 7 years in Southern California, and then reading about, just watching you with the book and the discipline it takes, the focus, all that good stuff, man. Yeah, so we're excited about this episode.
Thank you, man. Me too.
Yep.
John, I just want to start with something good, man. Just your relationship with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously, he wrote your foreword to your book. You also write for his site. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the great Arnold?
Sure. That is an interesting story, or I guess it's probably not that interesting, and it's findable elsewhere, so I'll give you the abridged version. The main thing is that the internet is a very interesting place, and it is as small as it is big. And one day I got an email from a kid who said, "Hey man, I know that you do a lot of Q&As on Facebook and Twitter, but I have sort of a public job, and I don't want my business out there. Would it be cool if I just emailed you a few questions?" So I was, for whatever reason, not overly busy that day, so I said sure. He shot back a couple of questions, and this back and forth started. And after a few weeks, in a moment of idle curiosity, I decided to Google him. And his name was Daniel Ketchel. And so when you Google Dan Ketchel, the two things come up. The first is his Twitter account, and the second is the Wikipedia page for the term body man, which is a political term for a politician's closest personal assistant, the guy who's with him at all times. And listed under notable body men was Daniel Ketchel, special assistant to then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. All right, this guy's going to get moved to the top of the queue when he asks his questions. And we just developed a relationship. And at the time, I was coming out to California. This is when I still lived in New York. I was coming out to Cali a lot because the co-author of my book lived here and had a lot of friends here. Turned out Daniel lived in Santa Monica. So we wound up meeting up and just hanging out, grabbing some drinks. He was at one point, he became one of my online clients. And so he was traveling with Arnold all the time. And there was one point where I think they were in Brussels. And I had written Daniel this workout. So unbeknownst to me, when Daniel would do his workouts, Arnold would jump in from time to time and do them with him. And so Daniel sends me this email that says, hey, Arnold wants to know why we're doing flyaways instead, or I think we're doing squeeze presses instead of dumbbell flies. And so now I have to write this email back justifying my selection of chest exercises to a guy with arguably the greatest chest development in the world. So that's really how it started. So just from there, Arnold liked my stuff, and I did some nutrition stuff for him. And then when it came time to write the book, Adam and I decided we wanted someone to write the foreword that would move the needle, someone that would, whose name would, by association, get a few extra people to pick it up and maybe thumb through it and hopefully buy it. And there were only two people who we could really think of who would have the impact we wanted. The first was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then the second was Tim Ferriss, also a good friend of mine. And so we asked Arnold, and so Tim was off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah, so John, in regards to, we talk a lot about the importance of who we surround ourselves with and also the people we choose not to be around. Your circle of influence for a while has been really successful, driven people. Was this something that, when you were younger, maybe in your late teens, early 20s, always came natural to you? Or was this something that maybe was a switch that you said, I need to work on something, and then you started focusing on it?
Neither. It was not something that I like aggressively focused on. It wasn't like a conscious decision. I'm going to start surrounding myself more with these types of people. It wasn't something that was always there. Obviously, in high school, my friends were, just a bunch of fucking idiots like I was. And having said that, I think I always have surrounded myself with the most intelligent idiots I could find. And all of my friends in school were academically very intelligent. We just didn't know what we were doing in terms of life. Moving on from there, as I got involved in the online space, I was just really lucky to sort of fall into step with a group of individuals who were doing really well. And I just sort of have always been hell-bent on getting coached. I just am a person who would rather have someone teach me something than go out of my way to learn it by myself. So I just started hanging out with the right crew, and what I've come to realize over the years is that if I do have one skill, one natural-born talent, it's not coaching or writing or anything physical. It's really just networking. And I have been very good at putting myself into the position to meet individuals of note who I think would be interested or perhaps who would benefit from a relationship with me in the way that I would benefit from one with them, and then capitalizing on that. And then through that, I've become friends with Tim and guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Ramit Sethi, Lewis Howes, and a number of other people of note.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So Gary V, Lewis Howes, all the guys you just said are very well-known guys. In regards to put your your coach hat on. So when you're in the time, I don't know if you still are dealing with helping people get to their goals. You've had in your past some high-profile clients. I'm sure when you're getting started, commercially, just average people. Could you talk about compartmentalizing the energy expenditure towards each person? And do you have any tips that you would give trainers or coaches out there, who maybe burn themselves out in measuring that energy off?
I'm absolutely the wrong guy to ask, man. I'm just a guy who will give until he dies. So I'm not particularly good at protecting my energy and sort of compartmentalizing it away from my clients. It's not something I've ever been particularly good at.
All right, cool.
Awesome, man.
I wish I was better at it.
Yeah, that question, same. I struggle with that as well. I thought maybe you're in the game a little longer. I thought maybe you had a little tip. It's all good.
What? Honestly, the way I like to look at it, there's sort of this spider web of osmosis, right? Your clients siphon energy off of you, right?
Yeah.
That's just the nature of that relationship. But there are probably other people in your life from whom you feel, or by being around whom you feel energized, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think that while we all have a finite amount of energy in terms of how long we can be awake or how much we can produce in a given time, I think in terms of excitement, that's infinite. We can always have more energy, and so we just need to find the things that inspire us. And I'll never forget when I was training Gary Vaynerchuk in New York. I started training Gary well into the success of my internet business. So at that point, I had been living that internet life and waking up at 11 and going to bed at 4 or whatever. And so now I'm training Gary 3 days a week, and I got to get up at 5 to get to the Upper East Side by 6 in the morning. And I would roll in there 5:55, I'd be dead. But training Gary for an hour and a half, I'd leave there at 7:30, and I was so fucking amped up and just like ready to crush life because Gary has that type of infectious energy that you can feed off of. And I think that as long as you go out of your way to surround yourself with those people, then you can give and give and give of yourself as long as you're getting from somewhere else.
Yeah. Well said, man.
John, now you're in LA. Are you doing much one-on-one coaching, or is it all just pretty much online-based stuff now, man?
Just about everything is online. I do have a few people who when they're in town, I will meet up with them, or maybe I'll drive out to them every once in a while to do some assessments, but for the most part, it's all online.
Cool, man. I just want to talk just about a piece of brilliant work you did late last year. It was titled Managing My Depression is a Constant Struggle. It was a piece that actually touched me because at the time I was struggling a little bit in life and I really didn't know what was going on in my own head. So it did actually help me to actually open up and really realise what was happening in my own life. So can you just tell the listeners just a little bit about the piece and some of the struggles that you faced over your life, please?
Sure. Yeah, I could do that. So that piece, originally on my site, it was had some mention of semicolons in this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Semicolon Project, but this is a sort of a tattoo campaign that pushes for mental health awareness, particularly for people who suffer from suicidal depression. And this started, I think, in 2013, and it starts with people getting a small tattoo of a semicolon, the imagery being representative of a break, right? So semicolon in literature exists where an author could have chosen to end a sentence, but instead kept going. And so the sort of metaphor there is if you get a semicolon for mental health, it's like you're choosing to keep going instead of ending the sentence that is your life. I've had a semicolon tattooed on my wrist since 2009. I got it just because I'm a big word nerd and I love semicolons, but it was really interesting to see this thing happen. So I sort of started writing about that, and it, sort of just became this examination of me putting out all of this stuff about my depression. So I was diagnosed with clinical depression when I was 15 years old. I have been on and off medication for a good part of my life. I'm now 33, so I guess I've been dealing with. I've probably been dealing with it my whole life, but I have been acutely, awarely dealing with it for over half of my life now. So I suffer from depression, which is not to say that I am constantly depressed. So, like many people, my depression comes in waves or spurts, and I'm not what's called bipolar or manic depressive. I don't have long periods of depression alternated with periods of mania or hysteria or high energy. I just have periods where I'm very, very depressed, and then alternated with periods where I'm like a functioning human. And so for me, it's really just a matter of trying to recognize what those are and when those periods are coming, the signs of them, and do what I can to address them and put the things in place that help me survive them, and just sort of, brace with the storm and hope that when I come out on the other side and you come out of that bomb shelter, that there's still a world left. And that's a particularly difficult thing to do. I know a lot of people go through depression, and if they don't have those things in place, the long-term effects of it, substance abuse, horrible ramifications on your interpersonal relationships, you can lose your job, etc. So I wrote this piece partly to act as catharsis for me, and I think in large part, though, the way that it has been received is surprising and really heartwarming, and I think it's hopefully helping a few people. The long and short of it is that this is something that I've struggled with for a good part of my life. It's driven me to the depths of madness. There have been a few suicide attempts, and some of which were, I guess, cries for help, to use the drugstore psychology parlance, and some which healthcare professionals would call sincere attempts. I'm okay now. The weird thing about having written that piece is now every time I'm like in a bad mood or a little bit sad, people are like, "Dude, are you depressed? Do you need to talk?"
Yeah,
and which is really nice. But the thing is, like, I hid this from everyone in my life for 30 years, and now it's sort of out there. You can't unring that bell, and it's a really truly strange sort of phenomenon. But I think. I think hopefully it was well written and helped a few people. So, I mean, even if it's not, I can't take it back. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you reading it.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, it's helped me a lot. And sometimes, like you did mention, from time to time you do drift into that sort of spell. And when I do, I actually do refer to it quite a lot. So it is making quite an impact in the world, man.
Yeah, for sure, John. And it reminds me of Duncan Trussell once said that those type of prisons, thought prisons, basically, which we create and at the end of the day have the power to control once you're aware of it. Do you have what was a catalyst for you, like, or when these things happen? Was it training? Were there specific movements that you would do? Did you write? What form of expression usually helps?
In terms of managing the depression?
Yeah, and just snapping out of it per se.
Oh God, I hate don't ever say that again. Don't use that term because and again, I don't think you're doing it on purpose, and I don't think you're being dismissive. But the term snapping out of it has a really negative connotation for people who suffer from depression, right? Because it's so rare that you'll work up the courage to tell someone in your life, "I'm depressed. I'm suffering from depression. This is a medical condition," and without them going, have you tried not being? Just snap out of it, like your life is fine.
Definitely wasn't
No,
meant.
no,
Yeah, definitely wasn't
I'm
meant
not-
for a negative
I'm-
connotation.
It's giving you a piece of helpful information in the future. I caution you against using that.
I appreciate the feedback, John. Man, sorry about that.
No. It's cool for me. Listen, I get it.
Yeah, all good,
so,
man.
For me personally, the only thing that has ever really helped, the only external stuff that's ever really helped, has been moderate doses of medication for 8 to 16 weeks. That has been really helpful to me. In terms of because this is the thing, man. This is a chemical thing. It's an actual, physiological and psychological disorder that I can't just be like, all right, well, if I just cheer up, if I just go out and get laid a bunch of times, or if I break my PR on the deadlift. Unfortunately, as nice as those things are, they are fleeting. And for me, it's always a matter of trying to readjust the brain chemistry. There are definitely things that help. Writing has always been very helpful and cathartic. And just being around people. But the single biggest thing that's helped of late is just having it out there, being able to talk about it with people and not having to hide. Historically, it was a lot of people asking me what was wrong, and I would say I was fine, and then I would feel the need to pretend to be okay and go over the top. And now I could just say, dude, I'm in a bad way, and it's gonna take me a few weeks to get out of it. I can say that thankfully, the periods of intense depression, although they have been consistent, they have been few. I would say there's only been about 5 or 6 in my life, 7 maybe, that have really lasted significant periods of time. But they don't come around so often. I was good for about 3 years before the last really, really deep one hit. And then after that, I was good for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And then right around the time, I wrote that article in part because I was going through it at the time.
Yeah, man.
And I've since come through, and I'm good, and I'm feeling better. And Churchill described depression as the black dog of melancholy, and it's this interesting thing where being depressed or suffering from depression, even when you are not in a depressive state, you're always aware of it off in the distance, and you're just like waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it takes some practice to manage getting out of it, and getting out of your own head. And a lot of times it's I've got a 9-year-old kid, and he gets, when he plays, he gets like really fucking dirty, right? And sometimes at night I'm just like, dude, you got to take a shower. And his logic is, he's like got 9-year-old boy logic, and he's like, I'm just gonna get dirty tomorrow. Like, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's very true. And I use that same excuse because if I'm training twice a day, I'm not always going to shower between sessions. But with regard to depression, I think that what happens is that you come out of this depression and you're feeling okay again. but you're almost afraid to go out and live a normal life because you're just like, well, I'm just going to get depressed again in 6 months or a year or whatever it is. So why should I even like try to be happy? And I think that's a really dangerous and slippery slope, and avoiding that has been entirely due to the people around me and the fact that I'm really blessed in my friendships.
Yeah, man. We really appreciate you for opening up like that, man. Authenticity is a rare trait, so thanks for that, buddy. Yeah, man. Also, change the page. If whoever's listening Googles John Romaniello, they'll find a couple different labels. They'll find writer, author, model, speaker, coach, motivator, etc. Is there one specific, if we lived in a society that we actually had a shirt that had our title on it, which one would you choose for yourself?
I would choose writer.
Awesome.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that I do as part of my job, but I am and have always been in love with the written word, and I think that whatever you do in this online world, whatever industry you choose to identify with, and you have the opportunity to call yourself a few different things, right? But you could be a marketer, and you can put yourself in a category with Frank Kern and Gary Vaynerchuk and all those other guys, and that's great. I choose to identify as a writer, and that means that I get to walk the same hallways as Fitzgerald and Hemingway and Tolkien, and those are the people that are really my heroes, because I think I want to say it was Oscar Wilde who said this, and it could be misquoting, but the quote is that authors are in the unique position of not needing an epitaph, and I think that's true. Our work will be here long after we are, hopefully, and it's my goal to write something that actually says something before I die.
Awesome. John, what are you currently reading? Like, do you get most of your inspiration from the guys that you follow?
In terms of like business stuff, I'm reading. The best thing that I've read of late, Neil Strauss wrote a book called The Truth, an uncomfortable book about relationships, which detailed a lot of Neil's personal journey in terms of his relationship with his current wife Ingrid, or his wife Ingrid, and how they went through their ups and downs, and Neil's sort of journey discovering his feelings about monogamy. I think that was really interesting and reflected a lot of my own personal stuff.
Because he wrote the game too, didn't he? So he's kind of had that transition between the two.
Yes, also the author of The Game, one of my favorite books. Neil is a great devotee of Joseph Campbell as well. A great book that I just finished last week is called Level Up Your Life. It is by Steve Kam, another fitness guy. Steve is the founder of nerdfitness.com. And like me, he's just this nerd who happened to get fit and then somehow turned that into a job, and he's now an author. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are the. What else have we read?
John, do you know? Have you read or aware of Sex at Dawn? Chris Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I watch your stuff and read your stuff, I see and hear him speak how he talks about. He blew me away and really fascinated when he I think he mentions the few primates. He talks about humans, chimps. I think the other one might be bonobos with exterior genitalia and the reasons why, because the females are promiscuous, et cetera, et cetera. But he really has some fascinating stuff. So, in terms of, let's see. You dropped Neil Strauss, Steve Kam. Anyone else for our listeners?
I mean, just a book that I happen to be looking at right now is The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Is really great. And then, if you Google me, you'll eventually find your way to Joseph Campbell, because I talk about him constantly. So I'm always. I guess the way to put it is I'm never not reading Campbell. is what I would say. I'm not always reading Campbell, but I'm never not reading Campbell.
Yeah, I like that.
Awesome, man. Just to turn back to your own book, as we mentioned in the intro, you've got a New York best-selling Engineering the Alpha with Adam Bornstein. I was just really curious about how you first met Adam and how you guys came up with the idea to write the book together.
Adam and I met because at the time that I first got involved in the online business, Adam was the fitness editor of Men's Health. And that is a magazine where I wanted to get published, and so I reached out and I had some ideas, and he's like, "We can't use any of these." And then he's like, "I like your stuff on T Nation. I want to get you in the magazine. This has got to be the right fit at the right time." And then I think I emailed Adam like every day for 3 weeks straight. How about this idea? I pitched him constantly. And then I think I kind of backed off, and it was like once a week on a Tuesday, every Tuesday at like 1:30 p.m. Eastern, because that is when Adam got back from lunch, and I wanted my email to be top of his inbox. And then one day he sent me an email. He's like, "Yo, I need something on calf training. 200 words on calf training. I'm sending this to you and a few other guys, and the first person who gets me something usable gets in the magazine." And so I canceled my client. I was still training in person at the time, and then like sat down and wrote 3 versions of it. Each one came in at exactly like 197 to 200 words, and I sent them all to him, and he used it, and that's how our relationship started. And from there, he really liked my stuff, and he recommended me to. I was on TV as a men's health expert because I happened to be in New York a couple of times, and then when I decided to write the book, I knew that I wanted a co-author, mainly because I often have a problem overwriting and saying too much, and a problem with structure. So Adam was the first guy I reached out to, and I pitched him on the idea, and he said, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I've been waiting for you to ask. Let's do it." And then that sort of kicked that off, and that was like I want to say mid 2012, probably early 2012 or late 2011, and then we went through the whole pitching process and getting our book agent and the whole bit, and then April 2013, Alpha hit the shelves.
Wow.
That's awesome.
14 months, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just turnaround.
John, you mentioned a couple times, the first initial relationship with Adam. You threw some articles out there. You said you couldn't use that stuff. So I always think we chat a lot of us, including me, struggle with overcoming adversity and finding ways to turn it into a positive. We were chatting a couple of days ago with Tate Fletcher, and he said some fascinating, just a very profound statement. And he said his biggest failures became his greatest successes. Do you have one maybe pivotal moment with that statement, looking back, that initially it looked like a failure, and in hindsight you're like, man, thank God that happened because I was able to turn it into this?
Actually, yes. So you guys familiar with Joel Marion?
Yeah, I am.
All right, so Joel Marion is one of my oldest friends. Joel and I met when we were 19 years old. We were both a bunch of like knuckleheads trying to write for T Nation, or what was then T Mag. Joel lived in Jersey. I lived on Long Island. We met up in New York City, became best friends instantly. I think we had like a sleepover 2 weeks later. I went to Jersey and like brought a bag. And, it was like hilarious. And then that friendship has just gotten progressively like more gay, which is great.
Bit of a man crush on each other, eh?
Yeah, it's like we were the best men at each other's weddings. And
that's awesome.
It's like, so like we like really go way back. But of course, at some point we decided we wanted to co-author some stuff, and so we wrote a few things for T Nation, and one of them we came up with this like crazy fucking diet, the extreme fat loss diet. And it was like this 5-day cycle, and you had to like eat one way on day 1 and another way on day 2. And it was really like sort of complicated, but perfect for the T Nation audience. And, we thought like, all right, with our names on it, people will do it. Like, it's crazy, but we know it works. We've been testing it out with our clients and whatever. And so we pitch it. So Lou Schuler at that point was the editor of T Nation. I guess he took over for TC for a while. So we pitch it to Lou Schuler, who has written a ton of books. He's written all those books with Alan Cosgrove and some stuff with Alan Aragon and some other people named Alan probably. So Lou, he reads the article and he gets back to us and he's like, yeah, guys, it's interesting, but no, it's not for us. And that was the first time either Joel or I had ever had an article rejected anywhere, but particularly T Nation. They fucking loved us over there. And so, like, Joel writes back, he's like, well, why not? And Lou's response is like, well, it's really complicated, and he had a bunch of reasons, but at the bottom of the email, it was bolded. It was one sentence, and he goes, guys, I just don't think anyone's going to do it. So we're like, okay. And then Joel and I, we like go back to doing other stuff, and we kept this in our back pocket. And then eventually, Joel broke into the online world first. He launched Cheat Your Way Thin, which was sort of a digitized version of the Cheat to Lose diet, which was his hardcover book that was published by Crown in 2004, 2005. And then after that, I released. So he did Cheat Your Way Thin, and then I did Final Phase Fat Loss, which was my first product. And we did a $465,000 launch on that product, with Joel's help and my content and everything. And so Joel and I were like thinking about like what to do next. And so one day he emails me, and the Extreme Fat Loss Diet is attached to the email. And so we got on the phone and we're like, fuck it, let's do it. So so this is an article that we wrote for T Nation, and they turned it down. They probably would have paid us like, I think our rate at the time was either $500 or $1,000. So like if we wrote it together, we would have either gotten $250 each or $500 each. And we turned it into an e-product. We fleshed it out and wrote all these things, turned it into an e-product, and that Extreme Fat Loss Diet, which launched in May of like 2011 or 2010, actually, we did $1.5 million gross on that launch.
Wow.
And so that was something that Lou Schuler said, I don't think anyone's going to do it. No one's going to buy in. And then we're just like, man, we're going to sell like 30,000 copies in 1 week, actually. So that was a big one.
That's awesome.
Just on Joel, I'm on his email list. He sends me an email every day, and I'm also on yours and Adam's, and you guys are quite frequent on that as well. How important is email marketing in your business at the moment, man?
The email is the lifeblood of the business, right? That's the single biggest way to like get people to buy your shit. I mean, social media is great, but it's hard to be heard over the din. Social media and everything else are good, but I think email is the most direct route to people. So yeah, it's pretty important.
Is it about keeping it simple, or is it like providing something of value? What's your suggestion on that one, man?
I think you should always be providing value.
Yeah. But is it this type sort of thing you've got of it, sort of more of a value, and then hit them up with an offer? Is that more of the style that you kind of go for?
Yeah, I mean, like Joel has some sort of offer. Every single email has an opportunity for you to give him money, and I think that's great. It's just not really what I do. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm more of the jab, right hook.
Yeah, I've heard that analogy as well. What about people wanting to get coached by you? Is there because I think you've got an application form. You have to actually apply to be part of your coaching program. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So for one-on-one fitness coaching, you have to apply, and the reason that the application is there, I mean, obviously there's a lot of like really incredible marketing behind it, but a big thing is I don't want to work with just anyone, right? Like, so you get to know someone over the course of a few email exchanges. Like, the last thing I want is someone who's not going to buy in, or someone who thinks that they know better. There have been so many opportunities where I'm like, hey, I'm going to work with you, it's going to be great. And then you send them a program, and then they argue with you about every single thing you gave them, like the type of diet, type of training.
I've seen that before.
I'm just like, you called me.
Yeah, you came for me, bro.
Yeah. So it's like occasionally those, by the way, do turn into like really, really great clients. There was this one guy, his name is Colin, who I knew from like way back on the T Nation days, and I wrote him this great like metabolic program, and he was used to doing powerlifting stuff. And if you search like Romaniello and then Colin, his before and after picture will come up. I mean, the guy he had a complete and massive body transformation, but the response to his program was just like, this isn't what I'm doing, this is not what I want. And I had to go through it like line by line and explain to him why he was doing these things. And I was like, said, give it a try for a month, man. Just like, please, like, believe in me. And the guy started getting so shredded so fast, he became like this massive evangelist. But at this point, I don't have time to argue with that many people, so that's there. And another thing is like the application form. It sort of like weeds out a few people. Like, if people aren't serious, they're not going to bother to fill out an application.
Sure.
And it'll also, the way that my software works, it'll red flag a few people. So, for example, if the type of diet you follow, if you select that you're a vegan, that'll red flag you, and then I'll know. I don't work with vegans; it's not something I do. I would just have to do too much work to my system to make it palatable. So it's just. But yeah, you have to apply. You have to be a good fit. I'm not going to work with just anyone.
With the industry ever evolving, and which puts us in the category to constantly be learning, upskilling, learning, trying new things. What are you doing anything differently these days in your early 30s now to what you were doing in your early 20s? In Sydney right now, you see people acro yoga, for example, doing things on high wires. Are you into fad training? Are you trying anything new recently?
No, my new things. I try to go to the gym consistently. Again, it's just different, guys. Like when I was 22, 23, the gym was like the most important thing in my life. I was super into getting huge and competing and getting shredded and modeling and whatever. And now I run multiple businesses. I've got 3 families. I've got like my mom and sister back home. I got my wife and my kid here. I got my staff. I got like people I need to take care of. And I go to the gym an hour and a half to 2 hours every day. Sometimes I go twice a day if I'm lucky. And just being able to follow a program and consistently make progress is enough for me. Like I'm not so obsessed with physical fitness at this point that like I need to get out on a high wire. Like I feel like I've mastered that skill.
Yeah.
I've mastered training to the extent that I want to master it. Now it's just maintaining. I would rather spend some more time, like practicing guitar, or if I'm interested in learning something new, I'd rather do that. I'd rather spend the time building a business than,
Right on.
walking on a high wire.
Right on, man. Yeah.
John, over the years, I've seen some funny YouTube videos. I've seen you like in ice cream parlors and all sorts of things. I just want to talk to you about also your writing as well. You write a lot about intermittent fasting and also a lot about cheat days. Can you just give our listeners just an inside view and just into your philosophies for both, please?
Yeah, well, I think that, I don't like to get too married to any type of nutritional strategy, right? Whether it's fasting or paleo or anything else. I think that if you do that, you really start to skew your worldview, and then it becomes like the only thing you suggest and the only thing you know how to work with. And, there's an old saying that if all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. And I try really hard to sort of actively keep an open mind about what works and doesn't work. So I've tried just about everything. The only thing that is a consistent sort of mainstay in all of my programming, ad infinitum, is I want my clients to count their macros, and I want them to make relatively smart food choices. I'm a big fan of cheat days, and I'm a big fan of macros. But if you have 400 grams of carbs and they all come from donuts, I don't care how shredded you are. Eventually, you're gonna have some fucking problems. So in terms of intermittent fasting, it's something that I think is a really easy calorie manipulation strategy. It's a lot harder to overeat if you're only eating 6 to 8 hours out of the day. There's also a lot of hormonal benefits to it, which I have written about ad nauseum, both on my site and in my books. And in terms of cheat days, there's enough of a physiological benefit from doing those that I think it's worth it for most people to try it. And also, you really do have the advantage of getting that psychological break.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of any specific, supplements, products that you wake up and take right in the morning? Because you get 10 different guys taking 10 different things. Is there anything that specifically worked for you?
Yeah. So in the morning I do Himalayan salt or sea salt mixed with warm water and lime juice. It's just really good for digestion, for my stomach in particular.
Yeah,
and then athletic
that's
greens
me too.
is another thing that I do.
What was that second one?
It's athletic greens.
Okay, yeah. So the greens are good. Are you either one of those? Do they have magnesium? The salt probably has the magnesium you need in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for stress, are you into any type of naturopathic healing? Do you get acupuncture, meditate? Do you float? Anything like that?
No. I believe in shit that's real. So I don't. No, I don't want to be a dick. No,
Yeah. Be a dick, man. It's all good.
I get acupuncture when I have an injury.
Okay.
And most of the time, like for injury though, I prefer like ART for soft tissue stuff. I've done a lot of acupuncture. I've done electroacupuncture for joint stuff. I do meditate. I've been trying. I've gotten better. I was doing pretty consistently for a while. I actually sent out a newsletter about it called "What If It's Not Actually Bullshit."
Yeah.
But for me, a guided meditation is a lot easier. I also like mantra-based meditation.
Yeah.
I just find it's easier to fall inward when you're actively repeating something outward. But most of the sort of new agey practices, they strike a pretty hard chord with me in terms of just like feeling like bullshit.
Yeah.
So I try really hard to gravitate toward those particular individuals who are presenting things in a less smarmy way.
Yeah. Have you heard of Jack Cornfield?
That sounds very familiar. Why do I know Jack?
So Jack, he does the guided meditation. He's in that circle with Raghu Marcus, Duncan Trussell. A
Okay.
little bit older, and he actually went to India to learn these ancient practices. And now him being back in America, they call him to go back to India to teach them what they taught him. It's pretty interesting. But
That's
yeah, he talks a lot about breathing, and it's pretty calming more than anything I feel for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
cool, man.
John, obviously you've coached a lot of pro athletes, actors. Just for the audience, is there anyone that really stood out? Just someone that's a beast in the gym that you can share a little story with us?
Someone famous who's a beast in the gym. Actually, Rick Rubin is a really. If you guys don't know Rick Rubin, he's a very, very famous music producer. He has worked with everyone from Metallica to Beyonce. He started Def Jam Records.
Yeah, Rick Rubin.
So Rick is he's someone who got into fitness very late in life. You know, he was overweight for most of his life because he was a vegan. Now Rick, he called me because he decided one day that he was going to be super into fitness or super into his health, and he assembled this like super team of fitness people. And it was like he called Rob Wolf and myself and John Durant and Ben Greenfield and Tim Ferriss, and we were all contributing something. I looked at a lot of his blood work and his hormonal panels, and I was also the guy who lived closest to him. So I would actually train him 2 or 3 days a week in Malibu for a while. And the guy is like he can put up serious weight. He trained with Laird Hamilton for a while, so I actually would train him at Laird's house, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy just like he didn't have any quit in him. You know, he's the kind of guy who would like hold a plank until you either told him to stop or until he collapsed, which I like.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Gary V put up this awesome video about he was talking about what's wrong with this fitness professional, these online fitness quote unquote experts. You being a veteran, you being at the top of the game, is there anything specifically you could think of that you would change about the industry right now?
Oh man, you really don't want me to answer that.
Dude, be honest, because we see it. So we run a businesses out of Sydney, and being diplomatic's very important. But we behind the water cooler, Tristan and I are always like, man, I wonder what he would say about that and things like that. So it doesn't have to be too specific. I was just wondering if there's something you see.
No, I'll say. All right, here's the thing. And if you're gonna pull a soundbite and you want this podcast to get a lot of traffic, this is the one to pull.
Oh, my man, John Romaniello.
Okay, so the main thing is that like the barrier of entry is now so low that there's just no way that people can really be as qualified as they claim, right? So it's this interesting sort of progression. Like people get into fitness, they hire a coach, they do a figure competition, and now all of a sudden on their Instagram it's like contact me for coaching.
Yep.
And it's the same thing that happened with CrossFit all those years ago, right? People would find CrossFit, they would fall in love with it, and then they would leave their medical practices as actual doctors or lawyers or whatever they were doing and decide to open a CrossFit. Now, when CrossFit first started, and all of the coaches had been coaches for a long time, and they had all sorts of certifications, and they knew how to teach Olympic lifts, it was fine. But then when CrossFit started to pick up speed, you had all these people who had never coached anyone opening CrossFits. And that's where you get all those CrossFit Phil videos that were popular for like 3 or 4 years, right? Because these people who had never coached anyone in the world, they were just really passionate about something that had worked for them. Now, those are the people that are coaching the next generation. And so the quality gets diluted without any sort of like filter. The same thing is happening in the online space, right? These people fall in love with fitness, they get shredded, and now because with Instagram, all you need is a couple of like really great pictures of you being shredded, and a note in your profile that says "Contact me for coaching." Now, what's happening is the quality of online trainers is going down in terms, overall. And so there are guys in it like myself, like Eric Cressy, Joel Marion, who were pioneers. When I started offering to train people over the internet 10 years ago, people would fucking laugh at me.
Yeah.
They're just like, how can you do that? We're never going to meet in the gym. And so we have gone out of our way to aggressively convince the public that I can write you a great program and never even meet you or talk to you on the phone, and I can get you results. That took a long time. That was a Sisyphean task for a long time, where we're trying to convince people that we're not just trying to swindle you, that we do know what we're talking about. And now, all of that work that we did to convince the public that online training is a real thing that can work, that is being undone because these people who really don't know anything are offering the service, and people are buying into it because they are shredded pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that is really the state of the industry. Now, I do think that at the end of the day, water finds its own level, and the cream, of course, does, as they say, rise to the top.
Yeah.
So what happens is that these people will either get better or stop being successful and stop doing it, and then what will be left over is all the people who are really good. But for the time being, it does create a lot of muck and mire that everyone else has to sift through. And that is the unfortunate situation.
Yeah. Thanks for that, man.
Yeah, thanks for giving us that inside view, man. John, something we asked, just a bit of a personality question. If John Romaniello held a dinner party, apart from your close family and friends, you had to pick 5 people, dead or alive, to attend the private party, who would that be?
Can they be fictional?
Absolutely,
That's
man.
awesome. Yep.
All right, hold on. God, all right.
'Cause I know you're a bit of a geek with your comic books and stuff too, eh?
Yeah, all right. So Nick Fury would definitely be one of them. I would love to party with Nick Fury. Hank Moody from Californication would be great. Hemingway. Tyler Durden.
You're going to get in a lot of trouble this night, aren't you?
Yeah, right?
Genghis Khan.
You know what? I actually want to give you one more.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine,
give,
but give us
I'll
another
give you one more.
Bill and Ted to be there, but I'm only counting them as one.
Yep.
God, this party's going to be sick. I guess we should have some girls.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right? Let's see. All right, hold on. Who are some women I would invite? Margaret Thatcher, I feel like would add a lot.
She'd add reason.
Yeah, I would like that. Hold on. I know that there would be really, really, really.
It'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
Oh,
Thatcher and the Genghis Khan.
Let's go to the strip club.
Yeah.
No, let's not go to the strip
I'll
club.
fight you. Tyler.
Yeah, Mulan, I think would be great from the movie Mulan. I think I really liked her personality. She'd be awesome. Elsa from Frozen would be another good. I really only all of the Disney princesses can come.
Attaboy.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Let's see. Caligula should be there. I think he would be a good addition. Hold on, I got some more. Oh, Aunt Becky from Full House. That would be a great one.
You like Becky? I thought you were gonna go with.
No, they're coming back.
I want Aunt Becky.
Get that.
John, have you seen that they're coming back on Netflix?
I'm aware. Don't you worry.
I thought you'd be a Kimmy Gibbler guy.
Oh gosh, I think now I would be.
Yeah.
In my youth, Kimmy was too much for me, and
Yeah.
I was aware of it.
And Becky,
Now
and Becky
Kimmy
was
has
the.
a party.
And Becky.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer should be there.
Oh,
Buffy in her heyday. Wow.
Kirsty Swanson. That's a good call.
Yeah. I feel like we've got a pretty good.
We got a team.
Blade. I would like Blade there because I'd like to hear a conversation between Blade and Buffy about killing vampires. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Al Gore. I just like that guy. He would be fun.
We're gonna need a lawyer here.
This sounds like a book.
I think we're gonna need like Johnny
All right.
Johnny Cochran
Yeah,
will probably have to come or
We
something.
need one late night host.
You got one more. Who you going with? You have one left.
All right, I'm gonna pick Conan O'Brien.
Okay.
I was thinking Jimmy Kimmel, but in the end,
Yeah.
it's Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
That's my dinner party. All those people and me.
That's awesome, man. John, man, we really, really appreciate your time. Could you leave our listeners, people that are flirting with, the idea of getting into the industry or just wanting to change, wanting to help people, could you leave a little bit of words of inspiration or motivation for them?
I'm not good at this stuff. I'm good at like dark, tortured artistry stuff. I'm not really good at motivation, but I'll try. Okay. A great quote from Joseph Campbell is, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek."
That's nice.
Awesome.
Thanks. I didn't say it, but I'll take credit.
Yeah, I wrote it.
That's the best one I can give you.
And John, just for the people
that's
out there, where can everyone find you online and on social media, man?
Yeah, well, my name is not as difficult to spell as most people make it out to be. It's just Roman, like the empire, followed by IELLO. That is the last name. And John Romaniello on the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitters, the Snapchat, the link. If you guys want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm there too.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got my own Wikipedia page, which is cool because my mom is super proud of me. It makes her think I'm legit, and that's it. And then also my main site, RomanFitnessSystems.com. Come to the site for the conjecture, stay for the quality of the articles, and all the shenanigans.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. Well, we really appreciate it because you have been a lot more open. Like, we did bring some really hard topics into it
Yeah,
today.
thanks
so-
for being open with that, man. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for not asking the same 10 fucking questions everyone else does. This was great.
All
Thank
right,
you.
cool,
Really
man.
appreciate it.
Nah, I appreciate it. We'll love to have you back on in the future too, John.
Yeah, man.
Sure. Yeah, let me go accomplish some more cool shit to talk about.
Yeah, man. Go tackle it, brother.
100%, man. I think we'll be down in LA probably mid-year, so if we're down, we'll probably hit you up. Maybe we'll go for a beer or something, man.
I'd love that. Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up.
All right, man.
Awesome,
Have a
man.
great one.
You have a great day.
Take care, guys.
See you,
Thank
John.
you. Yep.
Wow, that's probably our most open episode yet.
Jesus, that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that's
I
he's a
love-
cool dude because he's
You know what? And-
like we've got a book in front of us.
Yeah, and this is no negative remark about anyone, but to our listeners out there, Tristan actually had to sell me on Romaniello because I really like we mentioned earlier, I didn't know much about him, so all I knew about him was face value. Googled him. The first thing that came up was how to make yourself more attractive for women, something like that. So you take a guy like me who's very, just sees that, and I'm like, three sisters, my mom. I'm like, dude, there's no way we're having this dude on. And then Tristan, we get into a chat, and I sleep on it, and I start reading about him. I'm like, all right, yeah, we could have fun with this one. And yeah, it was awesome. I'm so glad that you went for it.
Well, look at the things that we talked
Yeah, the
about
dude's a
today.
beast,
like
man.
just seeing from the top, his relationships, his networking.
Yeah.
That was awesome. There's some great insights on how he actually got into the industry. I think it's a key point that me and you have been talking about.
Yeah.
About actually getting key people in our network.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. You can't just do everything by yourself.
No, you need it's like, I love this. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a struggle I struggled with.
But it's reciprocation
for a long
as well.
time, though. Like for people out there, depending on where we're molded from, our communities, the way our childhood was brought up, you could take a kid from a rough part of the city, and when he's in his 20s now, he still has that calloused approach to meeting people and that calloused approach to ego in regards to knowing everything. And if I ask for help, I'm weak. But that's totally wrong. You have to change that mindset. Asking for help is a sign of a leader. Leaders ask for help.
Absolutely. And it was great how he opened up about, like, when I asked him about depression, because that was something that, like I did mention on
That was the catalyst when you
start.
told me. When
Yeah.
you told me that he wrote an article, and then I was like, all right. And then I still second guessed it,
Yeah.
remember?
What I'll do, guys, I'll actually put a link to the actual article on our website, also on our show notes on iTunes. So then I think you should check it out. It'll take you about 5 minutes to read, but I think it's one of those things that, unfortunately, depression is something huge in our society today.
I think I don't want to say unfortunate because then that would be casting a stigma. And to go back to the 13th or 14th minute when I said snapping out of it, which offended him, snapping out of it, I could have been way more empathetic. And empathy is something...
Different people are going to handle it differently. Someone else might handle it and say snapping with it's fine.
Yeah,
It's just different personalities.
It's interesting, though, to actually... For him to have that reaction...
Yeah.
That's
you-
real with him. That's
you
real.
learned something too, I guess, from it as well. So.
Yeah, being a little more aware of language because snapping out of it,
And I probably would have used those words
yeah,
as well.
one could think
So-
though of like it being. So I like what I once read about. He said he had a couple suicide attempts. I once read something about suicide. So it was Duncan actually Trussell. I bring him up a lot. This guy's awesome. And Duncan was like, when we have suicidal thoughts. Yeah, he just tweeted back, thanks man, I appreciate it. He was awesome. So when we have suicidal thoughts, that's our mind. So to take action on our mind and kill our body, that's something that we have to be aware of are two different things. It's not the body that's suffering, it's the mind. So we then get to figure out how could we work on helping the mind to help the body. And I think just an awareness that it's a real thing. And like I like the semicolon campaign. I did hear of it, 2013. It's, the disconnection with feeling okay. And I think it's about educating people that it's okay to be down. I have bad days. I have bad weeks. We all go through it. But it's important to have expression, too, and talk about it.
That's absolutely, yeah, it's great to hear. Also, it's be interesting to hear Adam come on. Adam's coming on in a couple of episodes. With us.
Bornstein.
Adam Bornstein's going to be coming on. So I think it was like very similar to me and you, where we're very different personalities, but we complement each other. And I think from just, obviously we haven't spoken to Adam yet, but it's going to be interesting to see his side of the personality, because just from the online stuff that they do seem to be like us too. Like,
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote from Derek Sievers when he talks about, he once said, business is not about money. It's about making dreams come true for others and for yourself.
Have you ever thought of writing a quote book? You love
I
quotes.
love quotes, man, because
That's
I
something
like.
that you're very strong at.
Yeah, I did actually. If you check out my this plug wasn't even planned, but if you go to my website, therealfitcoach.com, I did put a quote book together with my photography.
That was, it was brilliant. You actually quite good at photography
yeah,
too, man.
thanks, man. It was something that but yeah, quotes. It's all about what speaks to you individually, me personally, the listeners. We're all wired differently, but at the same time, we're all connected. So I'm the type of guy that I like quotes. I like motivational speakers, and I kind of I relate to it. I feel it in me. So it's something that has always just been there.
Yeah.
Some people find it in art. Some people find it in listening to music. I find that fire.
I think it's good that you can express yourself, because what I struggle with is actually remembering them. Like
Oh,
I love quotes. I just can't remember them. I have to write them down all the time. I have to screen dump them.
Screen dump them, write them down, and then so I spend a lot of time. If you're listening out there, we're very open on this show. I spend a lot of time speaking in the mirror, like finding. There's a couple guys I like listening to, and hearing their tonality and their voice, how they use pauses. I'm always practicing, finding better ways to do things, and also strengthening my weaknesses to where they're no longer my weaknesses, they're now my strengths, and now I get to work on other things. I think that's really important too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what else, have you got anything else on the agenda at the moment?
Yeah, right before the show, I was on the phone, video call with my nephew Cameron, and Cameron's going into he's finishing his junior year in Ohio, in Youngstown, and he's a football player, and he was just calling me on where to go after his senior year, and he wants to do coaching. He wants to get involved with strength and conditioning. So it just let us. I was working on like a mentoring thing, but not in a sense of needing to be there, but mentoring somebody like Cameron, my nephew, who I have a lot of love for, that I just don't get to see as often as I want. So working on a program that's easy to use, easy to put in application for someone like Cameron, that I can maybe put on paper, digital, or even do a video screen and send it to him. In terms of, man, when I was 18, I was fucking lost. I was full of angst, anger, the unknown bothered me, stressed out. So I think looking back, it'd be something that I could have used.
Yeah.
So I'll quote another guy: "Be the person who you needed when you were younger." So I'm working on finding a way to cement that down in a product to give to the people I care about, like mentoring. Yeah.
Something I've been hit up on a lot this week has been about meal preparation. So I've actually wrote an article on it. So check it out, guys, www.tristancannellfitness.com. But we'll have a quick chat about it now.
Talk to me, man. You're a big fan
I think
of meal prep. Sell me on
in
it.
the day,
Sell me on meal prep.
Back in the day, I used to sit down in front of the football on a Sunday, have all my stuff in the oven, etc., etc. It used to take me a couple of hours, but I used to have it from Monday to Friday. And let me tell you, Monday and Tuesday was great. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday was like eating cardboard. And I'm sure that the nutrients and things like that on my food, and also the results. Obviously, I was powerlifting a lot then back, so I didn't probably make as much difference as it does now, where I've actually got a really busy schedule where I'm on my feet all day and things like that. And I can tell you firsthand at the moment, I do a little bit of meal prep, probably for 2 days, max 3 days at a time. It's a little bit shorting the cycle and just keeping the nutrients actually in the food and actually the taste as well.
I like that. Eastern philosophies talk about food having essence and having chi.
Yeah.
So in regards to that, I'm not going to I don't like meal prep for one, just because what you said. But if I had to do it to set myself up for success, 2 days would be the max.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do. I like that. That approach to me is feasible.
Yeah.
Especially for the person who's a student on the go, corporate. Basically
Corporate
setting
dad,
yourself
so-
up for success. But also the idea to prep for 5 days, in my opinion, I think it's setting yourself up to be lazier.
Yeah.
Because all right, let me get them all out the way. Hold on, you're getting I've heard this said in our locker room. Let me get all my meals out of the way on Sunday.
Yeah.
You
gotta
realize that
enjoy
you're
your food.
talking about the things you're putting into your body.
Yeah.
Are you going to get your people out of the way? Is that how you deal with other things?
Yep.
Where else is that showing up in your life? So for 2 days is good, and then guess what? You get to do it again on that third day.
Yeah, exactly
And-
right.
and-
That
and-
preparation, but it doesn't mean like you can chop veggies in advance. So I'll give you little hints and tips that you can kind of do to
Are you freezing them or are you keeping them raw?
No, keeping them for a couple of days in the fridge.
Okay.
So, for example, if I made something on a Sunday,
Yeah.
I'll eat that on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the Tuesday night, I'll probably have a couple more. Usually on the Friday, I'm a little bit open more
Yeah.
to maybe sometimes we always catch up for lunch or
Yeah.
breakfast on the Friday morning. And usually my half day's on Friday anyway, so I can usually cook back home. Obviously with my schedule, I've kind of changed it to that being not an office worker anymore. I've been able to go home during the day a little bit now, and I can make lunch sometimes on those Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then come back to the gym later in the afternoon, train, and then hit up my clients, and also
Did you see what I posted on Facebook?
about the microwave.
Yeah. So Mind Unleashed is an awesome site that I follow, and they posted finally a science-based evidence study on the effects of microwaves and what this shows of just. See, I've always been against microwaves, but it's never been about the physiological effects of it. It's always been about the psychological effects of it in regards to instant gratification.
Yeah.
Having a meal and just pressing a button in 2 minutes it's ready.
Yeah.
That shows up in other places. That creates, in my opinion, stress.
I like to mix it up a little bit. Like I sometimes do like to eat my stuff cold, and then sometimes I do just heat it, probably for 60 seconds max.
You would think that there would be some type of invention, maybe like a plastic bag.
Because that's
to
been
where-
the biggest one since what 1980, 70, whatever.
Something like that. But like, I wish there was like a plastic bag or some type of rubber contraption that's collapsible, and then it's kind of like those glow sticks. They're plastic, and you break the glow stick apart, you crack it, and the light comes on. So the rubber plastic bag. If anyone's listening, invent this, please, and then send me a
one of you
copyright.
smart dudes
So
out
you
there.
take the rubber bag or plastic and you shake it. And as soon as you shake this bag, it becomes like a circle cylinder type thing, and it heats. It has heat activation in it. So then you put the food in the bag, and then you're not using microwaves
Have
anymore.
you been watching some sci-fi movies, man?
No, man, I don't know. I've been writing a lot. I was just like, I'm not a big microwave guy. Let me. Also, I was another crazy
Are
thing.
you a Trekkie?
Huh?
Are you a Trekkie?
No, I don't. I've never. You know what? I'm that 1% who never watched Star Wars. I've never watched Star Wars.
My brother made me watch
Yeah,
it.
man. I tried getting into Star Wars like late in life,
Yeah.
in my 20s, and I was like, this is awful. Like, sorry to offend people, and you could send me hate mail at johnny@therealfitcoach.com.
The new ones are quite awful, but the ones back in the day, Empire Strikes Back.
I tried to watch them, man, and it's just like I once heard somebody say they're not timeless. So like if you catch the first couple that were in the 70s,
Oh, the 4 and 5 were released
and
before
two-
1, 2, and 3.
but if you watch the original ones Lucas did and they came out in the 70s, in 2005, which I did, it's like they look like puppets.
Yeah.
And
it's different.
but then if you watch a movie like A Clockwork Orange that was done I think in the early 70s or late 60s, it's timeless. Or Easy Rider, it's timeless. So I'm more of a realist in terms of film. I don't really like sci-fi. I like history-based film. I like biographies, documentaries. But then again, I'm a boring guy.
Yeah.
I wish I was a
boring.
geek.
But guys, please direct all hate mail to Johnny at
therealfitcoach.com.
He'd love to hear from you.
Or
So
actually
please.
teach me something. I want somebody to prove to me, show me some evidence, even if it's in word form, that Star Wars is for me. Because I don't know. I just don't relate.
Yeah, just send him some pictures of Leia
Yeah.
with Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah? Is
Yeah.
Jabba the good-looking one?
Nah, Jabba the Hutt's the big animal guy.
See, I can relate to that dude. I'm big in it, man, but I'm not. I'm not.
You're a fool,
What do
guys.
should we sing? Should we sing a song?
No, we're not singing.
Tristan's been practicing a song lately, and I think this is the perfect platform to show off his pipes. Go on. I'll do the beat.
Johnny actually thinks he's a former. You're in a band, yeah.
Oh, well, two-piece. We were a duo out of Long Beach. Danny Olson, holla at your
Wow.
boy. That's my man Danny right there.
Guys, again, thank you for all your support. There's been some massive changes in the charts lately.
Yeah, I know I've been harassing everyone on my Facebook feed, so I apologize, but we just weren't ready for 3 days. You want to? It's just been crazy.
Yeah, so it's a big thing. Obviously, we've made that top 10, and we always fluctuate between 10 and 20, depending on.
We actually
when
peaked
things
at
come
5
out.
yesterday.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a peak at 5, which is excellent. So we want to really thank you for your support. If you
Yes.
haven't subscribed yet, please just hit that button because we're going to keep producing really great guests. Our next couple of guests are Chris Algieri. Chris Algieri fought Manny Pacquiao and Amir Khan over the last.
He's
18
also
months.
a nutritionist, dietitian.
Yeah.
He writes meal plans for other.
Probably the biggest scholar in today's.
Yeah.
Um,
He breaks the
in terms of
the
athlete,
stereotype of a
scholar.
boxer.
So
Yeah.
that's a huge one. We also got Adam Bornstein, who wrote that book, obviously with our guest just then, John Romaniello. So that's going to be some interesting guests coming up.
I also want to say a sincere thank you to all of our listeners too, because we all have our doubts in life, and the one thing Tristan and I don't have to worry about is that this show falling on deaf ears. And 2 nights ago, when I get a call from Tristan saying that I didn't even know there were charts. I didn't, and I kind of wish I still didn't, because now I'm always looking. But on iTunes, what we touched base on, we went from, I think, out of a couple thousand, we popped up at 67 in an hour, and then we were at 50, and then just yesterday we peaked at 5. So that's a tribute to everyone listening, our friends, family, followers. And if you're listening now, we put everyone in that category. So we really appreciate it and say thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely, guys. So tune in soon. We'll have another one in a couple of days. So don't miss out. Subscribe, please.
Please subscribe to the network.
And you guys all have a great week. Peace.
Peace.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.